So we got this DTG printer for to make some repairs on it, and actually the guy said something is wrong with moving head left to right. Something is wrong with that, something is not moving properly, so he didn't explain in detail what could be wrong, but let's just go ahead and try to turn it on to maybe know a bit more about the problem on this DTG. We've plugged it in and 220 volts, it's on, main switch on. Let's see if it's gonna start correctly. That's okay. This is an error. Let's try one more time. Still error. For some reason it only goes in general error. Let's try one more time, maybe something. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. So now it did start properly, but as you might have seen that this actually this belt is jumping all over the place, so something is wrong with this. Either it's not lubricated enough or something like that, but the head carrier is getting stuck when the head tries to travel to the end left position. So we'll have to check that out and see what that is, what the problem is, but it's quite unusual problem, and we might end up replacing the chassis also if the bearing from the behind has wear down. So we will just go ahead and check that out to see what's wrong. So we did put some of this oil on the shaft, and it does work a little better, but it's still you can hear some scratches. It won't go, maybe it won't go to error. Let's see what's gonna happen now, but you can still hear a scratch, and that's because the pump is not opening right to the end, because it got some ink on the capping station. So at least what we'll have to do is to get the pump out and try to clean it. So you can see now on the capping station there's a lot of, we will show you that when the initialization ends. So you can see it's still scratching, so we will will probably have to change the chassis also, but we will have to clean the pump too, because let's turn the current off so we can move the head with hand. Pretty heavy is to move it. Actually, pretty much of resistance when you move the head to the left and right, and that's not good at all, because shaft was basically dry, no oil whatsoever on the shaft. So we think maybe the bearing is a bit wear down, so now it really goes heavy from left. You really have to put some effort in it to move the head left and right. So, and maybe that caused the belt to get stretched a bit, so now it's holding a bit lighter than it should be. And as you can see, a lot of ink on the capping. But it's not just the capping, it's also the pipes. So maybe if you can see, this pipe has ink inside, so probably the pump is clogged. At least what we will have to do is to pull the pump out, so that's what we're gonna do now, and maybe even replace chassis probably. So let's go ahead and start disassembling everything, because that's the only way we can get to the pump. So if you're doing a lot of prints, you have to have this light machine oil, and maybe put a few drops on a shaft here and there, because if you're not, and if you print a lot, you'll end up just like this. So the shaft was basically completely dry, and it shouldn't be like that. So we have to dismantle this front side, so we can get to the, and also this one, so this cover, so we can disconnect the cables. Those are some long screws. Maybe they're maybe this cover is glued somehow. Alright, so those are all the screws. Something is still holding down just a tight fit. So disconnect the cables. All of them have to be disconnected. So these are the cables, and we still need to disconnect the encoder cable, the motor cable, and the two cables for the lifting. Alright, we got that. So we will disconnect the keyboard. This is the cable for the keyboard. Disconnect the waste ink. And now we have to unscrew the screws holding the chassis inside. That's one. We got couple more on the other side. One more over here. And one more from behind. So this motor has doesn't have the connector from the back, but it has to be also disconnected from the motherboard. So that's what we're gonna do. Let me just get this screw first. All right, so this is the cable that from the motor that moves the head left and right, and also we will disconnect the pump. And now we're good. So now if we disconnected everything, the printer should be, we should be able to pick the printer up from its place. But one thing that is still could be problematic is the sys. So let me just try to get all of that out. Alright. Have to switch the hand. Alright, and we got this motor still to be unplugged. So we got the chassis out, and now we'll have to make some space to pull out the pump. So that's what we're gonna do first and continue on recording. And how we get the pump out: we get it like this. So we have first this metal part in the front that we have to remove. We got a couple of screws on the side. One is on the outside, another is on the inside. And we need to disconnect the ground wire and one more screw on the back. There it is, and we should be able to, oh yeah, I forgot one more screw on the front over here. So as you can see, you have to have a longer screwdriver to get to this one. And now we will be able to pull it out. Let's move that back. So all of this has to be clean, and we can move that right away. If the ink is depending on what type of ink you are using, maybe you will have to use a bit of an medical alcohol to get everything off. But let's first try to scrape it off as much as we can. I have to use a bit of an alcohol. So what this does is softens the ink a bit, so you can scrape it a bit more easier. So what you need to have is the sharp edge of the seal to make the good connection when the capping station leans on the head from below. One more piece over here, and this would probably be all good. This is how it should look like. So now I think we're good over there, maybe a bit over here. So this is how you should keep the capping station. Now what we have to do is, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of ink, a lot of junk in this pipes, so you have to disconnect all of them, disassemble this part and clean everything with alcohol. Not an easy task. It might be dripping everywhere, so we won't bother you on how do we do that, but actually all of these pipes have to be cleaned in order for the pump to work good. And this is also this is not done with the UV printer, it's mostly done with DTG printers, and sometimes if it's really necessary it's done with DTF printers. So we were gonna do that now and assemble it back, but we still don't know if we will have to change the chassis too, but the pump might be still functional, so we'll try to use that. One more thing I wanted to show is actually what else you have to keep clean besides this capping station. So this is the wiper. So if there's a lot of this hardened ink stick to it, so you might get to the position where you cannot, the wiper won't open. You cannot open the pump no more, and that will also signal the error on the printer. So you have to keep that clean as much as possible. So this hardened ink stick to it, we have to move it, but actually it might not come to that if you clean this wiper regularly from outside. You don't have to dismantle the pump from the printer, you just have to keep it clean with the cleaning swabs, sticks, however you want to call it. So but when you get to this situation like this, you simply have to dismantle the pump and clean it off, or scrape it off, maybe that's the better word for it. So also you have to use alcohol to soften it up a bit so you can scrape it or tear it off from the wiper. Like this, we've already got some of these parts out, but still everything has to be super clean, and depending on what inks you're using, it sticks more or less to the wiper, but you have to move everything off it. Everything you see has to be scraped off. Because if you leave something on the wiper, then other ink, when the wiper is cleaning, sticks to that one you left. So whatever you can see and remove, just scrape it off. This is some very sticky ink used over here. But we will get it off. Every single piece you possibly see that it's sticked, remove it. You will have much better performance. There we got everything cleaned off. So we got the pump cleaned, mounted back inside the printer. So as you can see, the pipes are now clean, the capping is clean, the wiper is clean. So we will just check it now to see if anything's gonna work better than before. If it doesn't, we will simply have to remove the or replace the printer chassis also. So maybe we would be able to save this chassis. So now you don't hear any scraping or something or hitting or something like that, so maybe this will work. But still we will have to, now you can see that the pump is working now. We didn't saw that before, and you can also see that these pipes on the cis are filling also with the ink. So probably the head is okay, but we will still have to check that too. But now there's no scraping and hitting no more there. So the pump is working okay now, and we will run a few more tests and prints to see if everything would be okay. Now that the shaft is lubricated, we've put pretty much oil on the shaft on its all complete length. So we will see how the printer performs now with that. If we notice any problems, we will then be forced to replace the chassis also, but so far so good.